All right, everyone, let's jump into walking through these cards for the Project Gratitude MemoryDex Daily. Now, one of the things I alluded to in the introduction in the classroom was this is in the tradition of MemoryDex. I have a whole class on MemoryDex. I share all the ways that we store MemoryDex. There's not a lot of spinners out there. I think finding the dies that actually create the MemoryDex tab holder, I think that's next to impossible to find. So this wasn't about trying to fill up our spinners or using the dies at all. The base of these cards come from a 3x4 canvas. And if the card is a different size, it still doesn't go any wider than 4 inches because of the box that I'm using. But, you can see here, we got a lot of different variations, but the idea always stems from a 3x4 and then just making that a little bit larger. So I'm sharing that with you because I hope it's obvious that, just take that size card and then build on it. Now, I need to go check out my dollar store because there's probably some items there that could be DIY'd, that could be hacked to be a good holder for our MemoryDex cards. I am just going to stick, let's throw our cards out, James. I am just going to stick to this vignette box from Tim Holtz and Ideology. It's the middle-sized box. I will link that. I didn't originally add it to the supplies, but I will have this linked, this vignette box. I love this box. You can see here, this is the next size up. This is a larger box. I do the same thing in here, and these are of all kinds of shapes and sizes. A lot of my envelope from my loaded envelope classes in here. I simply love to just have these out and be able to go through them. They're very inspirational. Sometimes I'll put something in the front that has a visual reminder that I need. So the moral of the story is here, whatever you can find that will hold, I'm going to show you one other thing as well. Whatever you can find that will hold your cards, just make that work. This isn't about the perfect place for it to work. What I really want to do is I want to go scour thrift stores. That's my next little mental challenge, is to go scour thrift stores and to be on the lookout. What can I use to hold these cards? The other thing I wanted to show you, this is an ink storage container from scrapbook.com. And I think it was Debbie Pettit, if I said your name wrong, please forgive me, who was showing how she puts her tags in this storage. I don't store my inks in here, obviously. I mean, I have way too many inks for this, but I had this tower. It's supposed to stand up straight like this, but I just put it on its side, and I do store some tags in here. You could make this work for these size tags because it is 4 inches wide. I think it's a lot more fun for tags because you can actually see the tags on top. Anyway, I just want to share that with you, but let's get on with the walkthrough, okay? Number 1, we're calling framed acetate. You can see for obvious reasons, we're going to play with acetate. We're going to frame some things inside of it. Shaker, but different, but not. Actually, I didn't do a shaker. I don't know if I should have done a shaker. I have shaker on my brain. I really want to do some shaker cards, that's for sure. This one's called Stacked, and you can see here, the back of this is where I'm going to be putting my journaling spot, but it's still loose because this is very layered. And when I get to this point, because I'm going to start this on the 14th of the month, 15 days until our Thanksgiving, I'm going to add my journaling on here for the prompt. So that's why it's still loose. Some of these cards are going to need that. Some of these cards are going to need your journal spot to stay loose so that you can fill that in and then attach it to your card, if that's how you would like to go about it with your cards. This is art card rub-on art card for obvious reasons. It's very flat. It's not even pattern paper. This was solid. It's the mixed media paper. And I'm going to share with you how we can layer those rub-ons and how we can make it a little inky. This is called Layers of Flowers. In this card, we have an interactive element for our tag and how we made this tag, because there's not a tag that comes in the collection like this. We made that one. And so this was a really sweet card to make. This is about texture and lots of texture. I created lots of texture on this card, and I would do it again. I love this. This also would be something you could kind of write on the back of this. You might want to craft your journaling card to pop onto the back of this when you have done that. Like I have this white one here. It's just waiting to go for when I have that part of the journaling part done. This one's called Wrapped Vellum because we're going to be wrapping vellum around some elements, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can add this journaling card into your card. Now, this is a classic art journal card. This is me loving, I literally could do this all day long. So I'm going to walk you through how, this is where all the stamps come in. There's some texture paste on here, rub-ons, a lot of ink. There is also distress spritz on here. I don't know if you can tell, but it's sparkling at me and making me happy. Rub-ons, some die cut leaves. Oh, this is just all the good things. Then we created a pocket in the back to hold your journal spot. This one's called Tabbed Envelope. So I'm going to share with you how we made this envelope. And when it pops open in the back, oops, I'm a little caught there. There we go. This tabbed part is part of the journal spot that tucks into your envelope, and then it closes out around it. And I made this, I don't know, my brain just kind of went on blank. Do you ever do that? And so this is, for me, wider than my particular box. So I am letting it live in here like this, and I can't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I love all these different levels sticking in and out of this box, for sure. This one is called Visual Inspiration, and this is where I brought in some stamping for a sentiment to be just that. All good things come from gratitude. So when I talk about visual inspiration, which I talk about this card aspect and idea in my original MemoryDex class, it's the idea that there's something out front and center, something I'm looking at, something that's reminding me to be inspired. It's visual and it's an inspiration to me. And this is all enclosed right here where you can add your journaling right inside, basically the front of this card. This card I'm calling Card on Card because we're just basically making a card on the card and adding new word alert, and adding layers, adding embellished clusters, all the things we love on a beautiful card background. So that's what that was about. This one's called Hidden Message. So on the front of it, I've created an aspect for being able to add your journaling right on the front of the card. I say front of the card, you got to flip it up, but it's still the front of the card. But there's a fun little count your blessings reminder inside of it. This was just fun and interactive, and this is where the chipboard is going to come in handy. I'm calling this one Pockets for obvious reasons, and this is where the nested pocket dies come in handy with the idea that you can make your own pockets. And I think I have the dimensions for that in the classroom. This has 2 interactive places for adding journaling. I thought this would be really fun, even as a kind of a gift card situation for giving to someone. You've got all this real estate for adding sentiment and journaling in. So this was my fun ode to pockets. I'm calling this one Flipped Top. I already talked about this in the supply video, and this is probably my favorite one in terms of the layering. So there's a lot going on here on the front. I based it on this film strip. I just love the idea of the film strip. Then there's a pocket inside to where you can add your journaling to this particular day's prompt inside. I call this one Elevated Impression. This is the idea of using a negative die cut, which you could very well already have in your stash, or you could make this one. This is also an interactive card in that we're creating this whole apparatus in the back for our tag to tuck into. I didn't leave a whole lot of room on this one in particular. You could add more than one tag. You could make your tag. You could watch the class and see how you could actually make this space for a larger tag. But I love all these different elements. We use the stamps for sentiments here on this Elevated Impressions card. Last but not least, I'm calling this card, the lesson I'm calling anyway, is What the Scrap. I can't wait for you to see this because this is me unedited. And I love how it turned out. And here's the other thing about this particular card. You might not be able to make the same card. You might, because there's some pretty basic elements here. But I literally pulled this from my scraps. We have a little small pocket tuck in the back to where our journaling can pop on there. Literally a scrap of paper found in all the paper scraps. And that is a look at MemoryDex Daily. And I can't wait to see what you do with your cards. I hope if you're watching this on YouTube that you'll come join the class. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave those in the comments. All supplies are listed in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.